In the world of Formula One, there's nothing quite as thrilling as an intense intra-team rivalry, and when it comes to heated battles within a team, few drivers have experienced it quite like Lewis Hamilton. The 7-time world champion has clashed with his teammates on multiple occasions, from his infamous feud with Nico Rosberg to his tussles with Valtteri Bottas. But now, it seems that a new challenger may be emerging in the form of Mercedes' young sensation, George Russell. With tensions already starting to rise, could we be on the cusp of another epic battle between teammates? Let's find out. A strange dynamic between Mercedes teammates Lewis Hamilton and George Russell has been picked out by Tom Clarkson, who hosts the FIA's press conferences. Russell has once again proven a worthy match for Hamilton so far this season, having finished ahead of the 7-time world champion in 2022. Hamilton, who is hailed as one of the finest drivers in F1 history, has spent much of his career dominating teammates. The 5 seasons he spent alongside Valtteri Bottas saw him rack up a string of world titles. However, Russell has challenged the balance of power since stepping up from Williams. Having beaten the 38-year-old in last season's Drivers' Championship, Russell kicked on to outqualify Hamilton in all 3 races so far this year. He trails in the points standings, but that's due in part to a frustrating DNF in Australia last time out. Clarkson, who has had plenty of opportunities to observe the pair at close quarters as the FIA press conference host, spotted something intriguing in Melbourne that may suggest Hamilton is preparing for battle. Clarkson said, in the press conference in Australia, after qualifying, they'd qualified 2nd and 3rd in Melbourne, Max Verstappen of course on pole, and every time a question was posed to both of the Mercedes drivers, Lewis was quite happy for George to answer the question. Clarkson, like many others, is fascinated by the Hamilton-Russell dynamic at Mercedes, and there is a bubbling desire to see the partnership descend into similar scenes of chaos last seen when Nico Rosberg was in the opposite side of the garage. And Clarkson wonders if Hamilton is already planting the seeds by lulling his teammate into a false sense of security. He continued, he almost became the spokesperson for the team in that press conference. And I was interested as to why Lewis was happy to just sit back and let that happen. I don't know whether he's sort of keeping his powder dry. Clarkson continued, is he trying to sort of give him a sort of false hope of being the dominant person, and then he's going to really hit him hard where it matters most on the stopwatch later on? I don't know what his thought process was, but it was interesting anyway, to observe that he very much let George be the man. Hamilton already has a proven ability to get feisty with teammates if brought on by the circumstances. His 2016 battle with Nico Rosberg is a case in point, although he ended up finishing second best on that occasion as the German romped to a close-fought title. The current state of play in F1 means that Hamilton and Russell's ongoing contest is unlikely to determine who wins the Drivers' Championship, with Red Bull perhaps even more dominant this year than they were in 2022. Russell did one-up his vastly more experienced teammate last season by notching Mercedes' only victory. Hamilton, meanwhile, has not added to his mammoth Grand Prix win tally since the 2021 season. Asking 1996 world champion Damon Hill whether mind games were in play, Hill replied, "We drivers are competitive, and we're kind of political as well. You have to be aware of rising forces or rising empires within the team. George has to make himself a valued asset of the team, and he's obviously doing that really well. But at the same time, he's the one that has to do all the hard work. I think Lewis doesn't have to. Mercedes know what they've got with Lewis, and they know that given half a sniff of a chance, he's going to be back on top form and can deliver those extraordinary races. They know that George can do that too, but he has yet to prove all that. So I think Lewis is very good and will suss all this out, and then he'll be sitting there thinking, well, okay, I'll let you do all the hard work, George, because it's exhausting doing all this. George is also the director of GPDA, so he's got a big workload. George, he's taken on quite a lot. But I think Lewis's strategy has always been to remove as many distractions as possible and leave time for downtime and clarity. It appears Damon Hill is heading in the right direction with his analysis over this particular part of the Hamilton-Russell dynamic. It's hard to imagine there is anything more in this than simply Hamilton wanting to sit through as much of the press conference as possible without having to speak. Most, if not all drivers, could think of a million different places they would rather be than stuck babbling away in a press conference. With no title to fight over, those wanting to see a repeat of Hamilton v Rosberg are going to be left disappointed at this stage. However, we have seen little sparks flicker between the two when Hamilton suggested George Russell's P4 in Jeddah was more down to getting lucky with the setup route he went down. something which Russell strongly disagreed with. With Red Bull dominating the sport, the media will be looking high and low for the smallest crumbs to nibble on elsewhere to try and make this year as exciting and entertaining as possible. Expect to see every little moment between Hamilton v Russell to be poured over in intricate detail. Currently, Mercedes is trying to find a pathway back to regularly challenging for victories again after Red Bull took a step forward with their 2023 car. And while that remains the case, Russell sees no reason for his current relationship with Hamilton to change. Russell said, "I mean, naturally, if you're fighting for 1-2s, there will be a slightly different dynamic, and that's only natural. But I think the thing we have going for us is the fact that we are at very different stages of our careers, and it kind of feels like we are in this together, really. We've got no reason to have conflict, we've got a good relationship, and we need to give each other respect." Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff also insisted that there won't be a repeat of the 2016 tensions between Lewis and then teammate Nico Rosberg. He said, "A good dynamic between the drivers also depends on what the management sets them. I think we are in a good starting position because both drivers respect each other humanly. We accept that there can be a rivalry between our drivers, but this rivalry must never degenerate into a conflict that could damage the team. I would never allow that. I have never allowed that either." However, veteran journalist Peter Windsor sees things from another perspective, and he stated that it may not be long before their last year. The Australian said during a recent Twitch stream, "I think it'll be 10 times worse than Rosberg, Hamilton. I think what you saw in Barcelona on that opening lap in 2016 between Lewis and Nico is just the start of it between George and Lewis, up another level. George is tough and hard, and he's going to drive into Lewis quite a lot if they're in race-winning, championship-winning cars, for sure. I think Lewis will still be Lewis. He's still the best driver I've ever seen, since Niki Lauda maybe, not getting involved in somebody else's accident, but George will be right there every race." Hamilton finished a slim second to Russell in Sao Paulo, and might have bagged the victory to keep alive his late streak of winning at least one race per F1 campaign. Nonetheless, the veteran insisted there was no disappointment to miss first, before adding he was elated for the whole team. But Windsor, who managed Ferrari's UK base in 1989, has suggested that Mercedes would be better off hiring a more regulated Nun-2 to aid Hamilton in the same manner Valtteri Bottas once did. The Finn spent 5 seasons at Mercedes and helped Hamilton win world titles in 4 of those. With full understanding, he was the deputy prior to leaving for Alfa Romeo at the end of 2021. Before last season, the 2016 campaign was the last season in which Hamilton finished below a teammate, settling for second behind champion Rosberg, who then retired from F1 altogether. Windsor, "It'll be so annoying for Lewis, which is why I keep saying that in reality, if you've got Lewis, you're better off with Valtteri as his teammate." All eyes are on the Brackley-based outfit, eager to witness the intense rivalry between 2 of the most talented drivers on the grid, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. The Mercedes team is determined to reclaim their throne at the pinnacle of motorsport, but they know that their ultimate goal must be securing the championship for the team rather than any individual driver. After 2 seasons of domination by Red Bull, the pressure is on for Mercedes to deliver results that will satisfy their passionate fan base and secure their place as a true contender once again. What's your thought about this? Will Hamilton be involved in another heated intra-team rivalry, this time with Russell? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can always get to watch more videos like this. See you in the next video.